Alright guys, Dynasty is coming. It's just around the corner, and so here are the spoilers. We got a little bit of spoilers early this time, it seemed. So let's just go over them. We had quite a bit this last week. As spoilers come out in the next coming week, we'll try to get you the videos as soon as they come out. But these kind of hit us by surprise. Enough of excuses, let's get to the spoilers. Alright, so first one we're looking at is Merciless Battle Axe. Our first spoiler weapon, it looks to be in like a very cool black frame. I'm thinking this is like the Marvel, twist on it. Once per turn, action, pay 3 resources, attack. Whenever it attacks, if its power is greater than twice its base power, the attack gains overpower, which means this can't be defended by more than one action card. So kind of like a semi-dominate. Honestly, it's almost basically dominate. So it's a pretty good ability. However, I honestly think that the ability itself is pretty hard to get going. You have to not make it to get to 6, but instead to 7 in order to get the overpower ability. And paying 3 for a 3 attack is not that great. Not when you can pay 1 for a 2 attack or 1 for a 3 attack with Dawnblade. So this is a warrior weapon, a two-handed axe. We do have a few things that work with axe. We have a few things that give axe dominate. But right now, I don't really see Dorinthia or Bolton or even the new Emperor, since he is a warrior, running this. But we'll see what comes out next. So this is one of those weapons where, we'll see if it gets better with some of the cards spoiled. So let's just keep that in our memory, and we'll have to probably reference him in the coming weeks. Next up is another weapon, Hanabi Blaster. So it's a mechanologist weapon, two-handed gun. Once per turn action, remove 2 steam counters from Hanabi Blaster's attack. Okay. Overpower, here again, can't be defended by more than 1 action card. So it's pretty good, pretty good. The third time you play a card with boost each turn, put a steam counter on Hanabi Blaster. Now, at first I was like, this card's amazing, this card's great. And then I was told by Dash players, because I'm not quite prolific in Dash, that no, it's actually bad. It's actually really hard to boost 3 times a turn. I was like, oh, okay. So you got to do like a 0-60 and a oh, what is that card called? The one that makes you block. Why can't I think of it? With your equipment. Oh man, that's a T-Bone. I was gonna say T-Motorcycle. T-Bone. So 0-60 T-Bone is 0 cost boosters. Okay, yeah, it's not great. But then I was kind of it was a cyclical cycle of being good and not good, good and not good. Because now I'm hearing that maybe this weapon isn't actually that bad. Because if you're doing like a boost dash deck, especially if you're a Teklo Pounder heavy style, then you don't necessarily have to attack with this, as soon as you get the counters on, right? You don't have to like remove those 2 teams counters to attack fit immediately. Instead, what you can do is just kind of wait for it in the late game. Have it have like 16 counters on it, so in the final 3 turns, you're just ending with a 5 overpowered attack. It's something to think about. It's definitely, encourages a different dash deck to be made. And it wouldn't surprise me if we get another 0 cost boost card or a card like Teklo that adds resources. Okay, so moving on, that's 2 weapons. Let's get on to Powder Keg. So it's an item, mechanologist item, so another mechanologist card. Whenever a mechanologist gun you control hits, you may destroy Powder Keg and a defending equipment. So that's pretty good, especially when your weapon has overpower to make it a little harder for it to be blocked. It does have to be a mechanologist gun, and that's pretty important because the Tecmo Plasma Pistol is a pistol, not a gun. I think the plasma barrel shot is a gun, but this one, so it's gonna have to be the blaster or the plasma barrel shot as of now. So keep that in mind. This is a majestic. It looks like it'll easily be a cold foil, but it's pretty cool if you can make it work, right? Like, destroying equipment is like huge in this game, especially for some of those equipment that just never get destroyed, like Grasp of the Arcanine. Okay, now we got a piece of equipment. Amethyst Tiara. Alright. Rune Blade equipment. Blocks for 1. Has blade breaks once you block it, it's done. Instant. Destroy Amethyst Tiara. Rune chance you control have Spell Void 1 this turn. A very, very interesting headpiece. Right now, Rune Blade has the Crown of Dichotomy, which has Arcane Barrier, and it has its other ability that allows you to put attack action and non-attack action on top of your deck. Once you destroy it, it is an action, so it does, you know, take up an action point to do that. But right now, that's pretty much the norm when it comes to playing against wizards. But now you have this card that, if you're a Viscerai type deck, you know, especially if you're like running Arcanite Shards and you know, maybe like kind of the old combo style Viscerai, just without the Bloodsheath Skeleton this time, but you know, basically like really accruing rune chance, a lot of read the runes sort of stuff going on, then you know, this might be something that if Kano's kind of doing his, hey, I'm gonna beat you this turn type turn, this might be the thing to do to just shut it all down. I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know. It might be good. It might be situational. We'll find out. Most of the time, supplemental sets bring out situational cards. Okay, so now we have Sandscour Greatbow. Now, this is exciting because Ranger could use a bit of a boost. So let's see what this card does. Once per turn action, pay 1 resource, look at the top card of your deck. You may put an arrow card from your hand or the top of your deck face up into your arsenal. Go again. Whenever an arrow card is put face up in an arsenal from your deck, put an aim counter on it. Okay, so obviously the biggest question here is, what is an aim counter? We don't know yet. We'll have to find out later. But it might be something that makes Ranger better. You know, hopefully Azalea gets a boost, right? I mean, she really could use one more than like any hero. But even Lexi could use a kind of a boost in these times. So it's curious to see what this will do for Rangers. If it will do anything, it might do nothing. We'll find out. Another question that has came up, at least amongst my inner circle, is that, and when I say that, I just mean like people I know, is that the sentence, you may put an arrow card from your hand or the top card of your deck face up into your arsenal. It might be a bit confusing if that means it has to be an arrow card from the top card of your deck or just any card. Not sure. It probably means arrow, but who knows? We'll find out. The release notes will tell us all. Alright, next up we have Season Savior. So here you can see we have the Marvel and regular edition, so that's kind of cool. The Marvel bringing that black frame, kind of like, it's really cool. It kind of gives like Dynasty its own feel, so I really like that. Alright, so generic equipment is offhand equipment. When you equip Season Savior, put 2 -1 defense counters on it, and now it has Battle Worn. So it starts at 3, and then it'll get 2 -1s when you have it out. It's interesting. So first off, it's generic, right? So this could mean that if you're a ninja, you could run this and a Kodachi, if it's your prerogative. If you're a warrior, you could run this and a Centauri Saber, what have you, right? This is available for all. The big question is how to get rid of those -1 counters. I know of a way for Guardians to do it with Nerves of Steel. Actually, but I think that only get away in your chest piece. So maybe I'm not 100% sure how to get rid of these -1 counters. So again, we're going to have to just kind of wait and see if something does that for us to see if this card is worth a damn. I don't know. I mean, it at the very least, it provides a shield, but it's kind of like a Ronald Buckler right now. Let's see if it gets better cards. A lot of these cards, we're just gonna have to wait and see. That's the theme of today's spoilers. Alright, so here we got Reinforced Steel. Remove a -1 counter from a Guardian offhand you control with 3 or less base defense. Okay, so this is a common. So that means there would be a red version, yellow version, and a blue version. I would imagine the red version is maybe control of 1 or less base. I don't know. I'm not, or the blue version, I mean. I'm not sure what makes the difference between the red, yellow, and blue, but we'll find out, I'm sure. Well, I mean, we will. But anyhow, the -1 counter from a Guardian offhand you control, I mean, well, what that means is Stalagmite could kind of stay around a little bit now. It is an action, so it does take up an action point. The Guardians don't really have a lot of those. So I don't know if this is going to be one of those cards that's like really worth it. You know, it's kind of like Seismic Stir. Like you make Seismic Surge tokens, but you know, this might be one of those cards. It is a common card, right? So we don't have to hype up every card that gets spoiled. All right. Now this card I think looks very, very cool. Sap, we get all 3 versions. We'll go over the red version. Deals 3 arcane damage to target hero. If this, I gotta zoom up here. If this deals more than 3 damage to a hero, you may remove an energy counter from a permanent they control. So, obviously, well, what has energy counters? Well, there's 2 things that we know of right now, and there might be more things coming in Dynasty and further on. But right now, I'll say the small thing first. Alluvian Constellos has energy counters. And that wouldn't be a bad one to like have in the mirror to like kind of take those away. The other thing that has energy counters, which is the most prominent one, is Fiendal Spring Tunic. Especially if the Spring Tunic's on 2, right? Because instead of them going from like, oh, I'll have a free resource next turn, it goes like, oh, there goes that, right? Because you take that counter away from them. So Sap is very, very cool. I like that it targets one of the most popular equipments, which makes it a very viable against most decks. So that's very, very cool. And it costs 0 for 3, so that's on par, right? That's better than a Zap, right? Or an Aether Dart. So yeah, it's great stuff. So that's probably the best card. Oh, and that's the alternate art version. Here we go. I should have just brought this up first because, boy, you can read that a little easier. Yeah, so Serge is the mechanic here, the new mechanic. So you do have to deal 3 damage to them to make this work, but a 0 for 3 again, that blocks for 3, that's just good value. There's like no reason not to run this. So, all right. Now let's talk about Rock, which is conveniently super small here. Okay, so Rock is a brute weapon, 2-handed. Once per turn action, pay 3 and attack. Activate Rock only if you have no cards in your hand. Damage that would be dealt by Rock can't be prevented, and it swings for 7. So at first, this actually looks fucking busted. But then you start to realize that you have to activate the card before paying for the card. Which basically comes down to you have to say I'm going to attack with Rock. Which then says, oh, well, you can only do that if you have no cards in hand. But then you're like, oh, well, how am I going to pay for it to do it? I don't know if it's meant to be that way. I don't know if we're going to get something that's coming along to make it better. I don't know. Right now, the easiest solution to that is Deep Blue. But being able to attack for 1 turn with a 3 for 7 doesn't seem that great. Not for 1 turn. You can always overpitch for stuff and kind of come in at the end, but it's kind of hard. It's not easy. So, yeah, we'll see what Rock means in the future, but definitely a hard weapon to get off. we're not getting great weapons so far. Final spoiler. The Blazing Yorai? I don't know how you would say that one. You know what? And I have today people still saying Miragi, even though it's Miragai. So, whatever. Who cares how it's supposed to be pronounced? Let's just get to the ability. While Blazing Yorai is dependent on a chain link 4 or higher, it gains +4 defense. It has blade break, and currently it defends for 1, and it's a ninja chest equipment. So, what this means is that Ninja has a chest equipment that's built for the mirror, right? It's great to go against a lava burst, right? It blocks for 5, so it blocks the lava burst out completely. Even probably blocks out, or almost blocks out, all of a Salta wound, right? So if you're a Fi going against another Fi, this isn't a bad card, right? It's kind of depending on how you want your deck to be built, because maybe you're aggressive Fi, maybe you just need Blossom Spring instead. It's kind of like, do you want to go offensive or do you want to go defensive? It's up to you. But this at least gives you that option, and that's pretty nice. Sometimes just defending their last 5 and then not having to sacrifice any card from your hand to come in and get them is all you need. So I could see this being played as, and I think out of all the equipment and weapons, I think this has the most playability. We'll see what happens. All right. So there it is. That's all the spoilers. My favorite would be the Yorai, even though I can't say it. I think that's the best out of the equipment / weapon spots. And I think the best card that got spoiled that's common is Sap. I think Sap's amazing. I think that's like an auto include. You don't even think twice on it. So, like I said, join us next week when more spoilers come out. We'll try to get a video out as soon as possible, even if it's just talking about one card, just to keep you guys updated. And we appreciate you following us. So tune in next time, and see you then.